In Taehyung's last live stream, there was something that caught our attention. From the beginning, he seemed restless, as if he was trying to hide something. Every now and then, he raised his hand to cover his neck or mouth, trying to hide it, but in the end, he couldn't prevent those marks he had from being clearly seen. And this isn't something new, we've seen the same thing in other broadcasts: marks on his neck, a slightly bruised lip, not surprising for those of us who have been observing these things for a while. Most people thought of Jungkook, because this isn't the first time Taehyung's marks coincide with moments in which Jungkook also appears with some kind of mark. It's clear to many that Jungkook likes to leave those little marks, as if they were a way of showing affection, of marking his own in a playful and direct way. This isn't something negative, but rather a habit between them that reflects trust and intimacy. A recent example was seen in the video where they were both training together. There, Jungkook appeared with a slight redness on his arm, almost imperceptible to those not looking closely, but which fans spotted instantly. Now, comparing that with what Taehyung showed on the livestream, the marks on his neck and his slightly chapped lips, it's easy to connect the dots. There's no need to force anything, the evidence simply complements each other. What's interesting is how they react to these situations. Taehyung tries to cover himself up at first, but he does so lightly, as if he doesn't really have much intention of hiding it. And Jungkook, for his part, never seems to want to hide what he's feeling. There's no nervousness or discomfort, quite the opposite, he conveys confidence in what he's showing. This naturalness means that, instead of seeming like an accident, it feels like a silent confirmation of what they're experiencing together. This has made Taehyung's fans view each of these moments as pieces of a puzzle. It's no longer necessary to wait for grand declarations, because the gestures speak for themselves. Those marks, the glances, and the way they look for each other, even in public, tell their story more truly than any words. For those who have followed them for a long time, the conclusion is clear: what exists between them is authentic, and they can't hide it no matter how hard they try. It's impossible not to remember how the company tried to carefully manage the closeness between the two. It often seemed as if everything was designed to leave no room for speculation, but what we're seeing lately is the opposite. Now they themselves seem more relaxed, less concerned about what might be said. And that attitude sends a strong message: what they feel is above criticism or external rules. The beautiful thing is that it's not just about marks on their skin. It's the way those signs represent something bigger, a relationship that isn't hidden, that is lived freely, even when the world is watching. Taehyung and Jungkook don't need to say it openly because they're already showing it in every gesture. And even though they know there will be criticism or attempts to silence what's happening between them, they continue moving forward naturally, as if nothing could stop them. In the video where Taehyung and Jungkook were training together, something happened that many of us noticed right away. They were doing their exercises, as they always do when they're shown on camera, but suddenly Jungkook made a movement with his hand towards Taehyung, and right at that moment, the video cut out. It wasn't a normal cut, it was noticeable that the staff had edited it so that everything couldn't be seen. The funny thing is that if you pay attention before the shot ends, you can see Jungkook reach for Taehyung's backside with his hand. And of course, we all thought the same thing: he probably gave him a playful slap, because it wouldn't be the first time he's done it. Jungkook has always had that attitude with Taehyung, and Taehyung never seems uncomfortable. Rather, it seems like he's used to it. The fact that the staff cut that moment didn't surprise anyone. Every time something too obvious happens between them, they edit it out or cover it up. But the truth is, those things can't be completely hidden, because what we saw was enough to understand what was going on. It's as if they were trying to hide it, but in the end, what they're doing is confirming what we already know. Besides, we don't have to go too far. In another live stream, when they were traveling by plane, Taehyung was seen sitting on Jungkook's lap. And that time, they didn't cut anything out. Everything was recorded, and they didn't try to hide it. It was a natural moment, as if they weren't even worried about being seen that way. That's why the fact that they've deleted the slapping part now doesn't change anything, because we already have many clear examples of what they're like with each other. The difference is that on the plane, they showed themselves without filters, while during training, they preferred to cut them out. But in the end, the result is the same. Taehyung still leaves signs. Even if they try to cut out certain parts, they always end up showing what they feel. Their gestures, their looks, their reactions, all of that speaks louder than any editing. For the fans, this isn't news. Just seeing how they treat each other tells you that their relationship is real. Jungkook always tries to get closer to Taehyung, whether it's with a joke, a touch, or a look. And Taehyung, for his part, accepts it naturally. It doesn't seem forced or awkward, it's just the two of them being who they are. That naturalness is what makes what they share so evident. In fact, when the staff cuts out moments like this, all they achieve is to make people pay more attention. Because if nothing had happened, there wouldn't be any need to edit. The cut only confirms that something interesting happened. And that something fits perfectly with the way Jungkook usually relates to Taehyung, with close, sometimes playful gestures that show the trust they have between them. In the end, what matters isn't so much the hand they cut, but everything those small actions represent. They're proof that Taehyung isn't a made-up idea or an empty rumor, but a relationship that shines through in every detail. And even if they try to hide it, there's always something that slips through the net and reveals what's really there between them. This training video only adds to so many other moments we've already seen. It doesn't matter if they cut them, disguise them, or leave them whole, what's between Taehyung and Jungkook always ends up coming out. And every time that happens, they confirm it even more. Because what they share isn't a coincidence or a chance, it's real, and they let it show, even if it's only seconds before the camera cuts off. In recent months, the interactions between Taehyung and Jungkook have become much more constant and evident. Before, the gestures between them were shorter, appearing only occasionally and potentially going unnoticed by those not paying attention. Nowadays, the opposite is true. Their moments together are more frequent, more visible, and, above all, more natural. Taekook makes no effort to hide himself, on the contrary, they seem increasingly comfortable showing what they feel. This change is evident when comparing past situations with what we see now. In the airplane livestream, for example, there were no filters or cuts. Taehyung sat on Jungkook's lap, and they did so without showing discomfort or trying to hide it. It was a clear and direct scene that needed no explanation. In contrast, during the training session, although they tried to cut a part of the video, the result was practically the same, further proof that their connection is still there. The cuts made by the staff may alter a few seconds of footage, but they don't manage to hide the main point. Their gestures, their looks, and their reactions speak volumes. Jungkook extending his hand to Taehyung, even if the gesture isn't fully shown, is enough to understand what happened. The cut only reinforces the idea that there was something they didn't want to show, and that's precisely what confirms the closeness between them. For those who have followed Taehyung's story, none of this is surprising. Their relationship doesn't depend on words, it's understood through actions. They constantly seek each other out, accompany each other, and support each other in all kinds of situations. Their interactions aren't superficial. They have a naturalness that isn't replicated with the other members of the group. There are very clear moments that demonstrate this. In several live broadcasts, we've seen them holding hands without having to be in front of an audience on stage. They've also been shown giving each other shoulder massages, relaxing together after long days, or encouraging each other before a concert. These are small scenes, but they make a difference because they show a trust and intimacy that isn't seen in other people's lives. A clear example is the preparations before important performances. There are videos where you can see how one person approaches the other to reassure him. If Taehyung is nervous, Jungkook calms him down with soft words or a simple gesture of support. If Jungkook needs energy, Taehyung transmits it with physical contact, a pat on the back, or a direct smile. These moments aren't part of a show, they're genuine interactions that occur behind the scenes, when there's no audience directly observing them. These details have also been noticed in interviews. While others are talking, it's common to see Jungkook looking at Taehyung intently, as if he's waiting for every word he says. The same thing happens the other way around. Taehyung searches for Jungkook with his eyes, even in the middle of long conversations where several topics are at stake. These are small reflections that show that one person is always attentive to the other. These examples make it clear that their relationship has grown over time. At first, they were brief scenes, perhaps easy to overlook. Now, they are constant, repetitive, and, most importantly, clear. It's an evolution that doesn't need verbal confirmation because it's evident in practice. And each new gesture, each interaction, reinforces the idea that theirs is not a coincidence, but a strong and increasingly visible relationship.